Welcome back, guys. Today I'm going to be telling you the tips of solo traveling. Yes, what do I mean by solo traveling? I mean when you travel alone, without a family, with nobody, you, your bags, and your brain, of course. So let's get started with tips of solo traveling. Number one, oh my god, my voice is going. Number one, have an open mindset. Oh my god, what am I saying? Have an open mindset. What I mean by open, number one, have an open mindset. What do I mean by open mindset? Like when you are solo traveling, you first have to understand that you are alone and you're out there. Like you need to understand the culture is gonna be different. A lot of things are gonna be different. There is nobody who's going to look after you. So if you're if you're not like a person who is really understanding things, that how they move, like if you're really not getting yourself exposed to things like understanding the culture and literally making sure that yourself on your, so number one is literally be an open-minded person. What do I mean? Listen very careful. So when I say that open-minded person, you really need to be careful who you're getting with, like who you're getting involved with, because sometimes you might get involved in people that you really don't want to mess up with. Now when you're open-minded, yes, get close to people, have an open-minded, talk to people, have a nice culture exchange, but really be open-minded and also be smart. So let's get to number two. Number two, plan earlier travel. Yes, when you're a solo traveler, there is a lot of things that you're going to face. Like there are a lot of things that you're going to face. What do I mean by that? When you go to some places you didn't really plan, you're gonna spend more money, and that's not like something that you really want. But when you do some research, and for example, you can use a lot of resources. We have YouTube itself. We have, for going to any place, you really need to do a research. I'm sincerely telling you, do your research. You will thank me later. Ask me why. If you do a research, you're going to know how to get cheap prices on something, the entrance, not using agents, routes, and there are a lot of things that you're gonna get with the research. I have myself traveled so many places I've been alone. I went to a lot of places, like I was in Kigamboni. What is the name of that place? Kigamboni, the Fan City part. I made a video of that. I was alone. I've gone to some places when I was in China. A lot of places I was doing it alone, and you wanna know why? Because I knew the real tips of traveling solo. If you don't know the tips, I've seen so many people in the channel, but they don't tell you the truth. It can be really hectic when you travel alone. I'm being sincerely open. And like in China, I got lost, and it was really bad. I got lost that night. I was just wandering, and my phone got my phone died. And by the way, just remember to have a power bank. That's an extra additional point. Have a power bank. Like you should have a power bank. I think everybody does have a power bank, right? You have a power bank? I do have one. I've bought even two actually right now. Tell me in the comment section if you have a power bank. Number three, one of the things that you should know as a solo traveler, have less bags while traveling. Yes, if you have one or two bags, they're totally enough. My advice, if you can have two bags, one which is actually on the back and one is on the back, and another one which is actually on the front part here, whereby the front one you're going to have to keep like passport and stuff like that. That's the best. And at the back you can keep your laptop, your clothes that you're going to be changing. I don't really expect you to carry a lot of things. Like the way I did travel last time in Kigoma, I did have like 3 bags, and that was a really bad trip because I had a lot of baggages. 3, it's maximum, like it's here. I don't know if you understand me. Like they are really totally so many of them. If you have 2, and literally 2, what I mean by 2 is not like 2 big ones. One which is big from the back, and another which is small. You're keeping your things here in the front as a passport, as like you're keeping it. You're wearing here. Like I've seen Mara doing it. Like this small bag where you keep your passport and all the other small things. And actually, don't work with the passport. Have a copy of that. Yeah, that's the other thing. Now let's get to the 4th tip. The 4th tip is don't be late on schedules. As I told you, what I mean is do not work at night. Yes, if you're on a schedule of going back at your place at around let's say at around 10 exactly, go back to your place at around 10. If you're actually having late times, don't use the public transport. Go for a Bolt, go straight forward to your place, stay inside, keep calm. If you work at night and you're around as a solo traveler, I am really sad to say so, in some countries you can really get in a bad shape, and I'm saying something that is real. I have experienced it. I was back there in China, and as I told you, my phone died, and it was a really bad time. I had nobody to help me actually. I had nothing, and that was really bad. Totally a mess. Only God knows how I survived that. Like, that story I didn't tell you guys, but it's another long story. Anyway, so one of the things that you should know is don't be late on schedules. Make sure you do your things on time, get your things packed up, go places, travel during the day. In the evening, if you're going for a nightclub, make sure you have friends. If you're only on your own, please go back as early as possible. And if you're not going back as early as possible, you're already like, you're already losing. So make sure you have a Bolt. If you're actually in another country, make sure you have an Uber. Just like the applications that you really need to know when you're having a trip in Tanzania. If you don't know all the tips and tricks of traveling, subscribe. I did a video on that. If you don't know the apps of having when you're coming to Tanzania, subscribe, because I already did all those videos. I did all those videos just for you, and I'm sure. Number 5 is don't be scared to talk to the locals. If you don't know the language of the locals, try to speak English. Now, if you don't know English, that's your goddamn problem. Learn English, man. Oh man, I mean, like, you're a lady, so learn English. For instance, I'm not saying learning English is a bad thing or a good thing of one advantage. What you need to know is learning English could help you in out of countries. I think most of people who are traveling know English, and if you don't know English, I'm really sorry, because not all countries also speak English, but at least English could get you started. For example, in our country, in Tanzania, most people don't really know English. Like, there are few who would really understand English, especially in the locals, but at least that one someone can help you with. Like, you could find someone, like 1 or 2 person who could help you with like understanding of what you need. And literally, you need to understand the languages of the local. Just get some 5 or 10 words. If you don't know the Swahili words that you really need to understand, like mambo and others, make sure to subscribe, and I did a video for that, special for you. And I hope you have enjoyed this video. You have known all the tips of solo traveling, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. There will be more videos about Tanzania, about other places that I'll be traveling to, and I hope you will enjoy and subscribe. Until next time, bye bye. If you want to travel from one place to another, most of the people really do like to book. For example, they will book a hotel and they will book a place to stay. But my good advice, if actually a sneak peek for you, one of the advices that I gave on my video of the cheap travel video, if you want to know one of the things that I told you guys, is literally, if you haven't seen that video, you should check it out first, because it has a lot of things. What I mean is, one of the things is you need to know that if you stay in a hotel and if you stay in a guest house, the guest house is a little bit cheap. Now, a lot of people really want to stay in the hotel. Of course, it's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. It is not a bad thing. You can go to the hotel, but you have to know it's very expensive. Now, from my experience of traveling cheap, I've been using guest houses and I haven't lost anything, and I haven't been having any problems with them. So those people right there who are going to hotels, hey,